A unique and beautiful setting, the San Francisco Bay is an extraordinary place to live, work, and play. It's also one of the most economically strategic and biologically significant estuaries on the Pacific coast. Faced with the challenge of balancing a vibrant economy with the preservation of natural resources and quality of life, Bay Planning Coalition stepped up in 1983 to become the champions of yes for effective management in the Bay by providing innovative solutions, collaborative problem solving, and successful advocacy. One of the founding board members, John Briscoe, recalls an initial meeting where a group of Bay Area citizens and representatives of local government and private industry came together to talk about the need for balance in the permitting and planning processes in the Bay.
And we decided to form the Bay Planning Coalition, which we did, and before we left and went back to our offices, we realized we're going to need a staff. So we went and we hired Ellen Jonk. We've been very blessed. She's been with us for 25 years.
You know, we've been working with Bay Planning Coalition since the beginning, since it started. We're one of the founding members. That's an organization that helps bring balance to what occurs on the Bay.
The Port of Redwood City has been a member of the Bay Planning Coalition for 25 years. We're a founding member. And the Bay Planning Coalition has provided the Port of Redwood City a great opportunity to have a regional voice on the issues that are important not only to the Port of Redwood City, but to all of the entities that are involved with marine transportation, commerce, and recreation in the Bay.
Economic viability means keeping goods moving through our seaports and marine terminals, the gateways to national and global markets. Bay Planning Coalition has been the driving force behind the initiation and implementation of a dredging and disposal strategy to keep shipping lanes open to bolster trade and commerce.
The long-term management strategy for dredged material disposal. That has been a 12-year-long project starting back in the late 80s, where we had mudlock in the Bay. The ships, we were worried about whether the ships could get in the Bay, as well as where we were going to dispose of the material, the 4 to 5 million cubic yards of material that had to be disposed of from the shipping channels. Could we make it work? I said, we must bring the agencies around the table, the state and federal agencies that control the life of the Bay and the business on the Bay. Can we bring them together with the navigation interests and with the interests of the environmental organizations? Can we produce a plan for dredging the channels, keeping the cargo coming in, all kinds of cargo, and can we do it in an environmentally sound way? And we did. We came up with a plan. And that's called the long-term management strategy.
So the Port of San Francisco plays a really vital part in the life of the entire city of San Francisco. Redevelopment has really accentuated not only the multiple uses of the port, but also the competition between those uses. Those uses being the maritime industry, commercial real estate, parks and open space, and general public access. The Bay Planning Coalition has played a key role in the port's redevelopment in terms of working with us to help us understand the needs of the different interest groups and also understand the needs and desires of the various regulatory agencies as well.
From the preservation of endangered species to providing hiking trails and golf courses for recreational purposes, the Bay Planning Coalition and its members have been the catalyst for the development of many projects in the Bay, including wetland and levee restoration and reclaiming wetlands through salt pond restoration.
And we're out here in the Middle Harbor Shoreline Park, and as you look around the park here, you'll see that it's the environmental aspects of what we do too. You know, it's part of that balance between the economy and the environment. We always look for things and how we can work together to do both. When we're working with the federal government to deepen our channels from 42 to 50 foot, we needed to then dispose of the material, and we looked at ways in which we could beneficially reuse that material. As part of the habitat here at the Middle Harbor Shoreline Park, we're creating about 180 acres of shallow water habitat out of the material that's come out of the dredging projects. And so we're literally putting the bay back the way it was 150 years ago, which we thought was pretty interesting and pretty exciting. You know, along the waterfront here, in the channels we have, it's used by the ships, the big ships, the containers we have, A lot of sailboaters use the water here, kayakers, and as we develop the park out here, we've really expanded those opportunities. We have parkland here on the maritime sides, we have parkland on the commercial real estate areas and out near the airport. So it gives the public an opportunity to walk along the waterfront and tie into that. So that's really a good part of the recreation aspects that we do. And as we've developed the shoreline, it gets tied into the San Francisco Bay Trail, the trail around the bay, and we feel that's an important aspect of it.
In order for the ships to come into the bay, they need a safe and reliable navigation channel, and a safe and reliable harbor to berth the ships in. San Francisco Bay, 2/3 of it is less than 18 feet deep. We have to dredge the channels. Why don't we really use the material for something beneficial, such as wetland restoration?
My name is Terry Hammerwold. I work for Manson Construction, but on this particular project, I'm the project manager for a joint venture between Manson Construction and Dutra Construction. This project attacks these environmental concerns from two sides, both the not dumping dredge spoils back into the bay and the recreation of marine wetlands in the San Francisco Bay Area. In order to pump material from the Port of Oakland onto this site, we had developed a system that's never been used in the world before. So we have to bring this material 15 miles from the Port of Oakland in loaded barges, and then we had to develop a way to pump it out of those barges 5 miles to shore and then an additional 2 miles back. In fact, at the very back of our site, when you see material being pumped, that material has traveled 7 miles through submerged and on-land pipeline just to get where it is.
These are environmental solutions that make business sense. Port of Oakland's deepening project, that's been the catalyst. The material from that deepening project is going to Hamilton Army Airfield. And Redwood City, we've got a wonderful good start, hopefully this June. Bear Island, sending material to Bear Island. So these are just a couple of examples of our efforts and what we can do more of.
Through proactive planning and legislative advocacy, Bay Planning Coalition assists government and regulatory agencies to serve the public interest by providing leadership and a voice for industry balanced with the environment in the Bay and Delta.
I'm John Cockle. I'm with the Levin Richmond Terminal. We're a private bulk cargo marine terminal here in Richmond. It's privately owned by the Levin family. And the Levin family has had a presence here in the Richmond Harbor dating back to the 1940s. I think one of the biggest benefits that we've seen from our involvement with Bay Planning and with Ellen is that it takes us from our little corner of the harbor here in Richmond. We're just kind of in this part of Richmond, and be very easy to be up on the backwater here in the San Francisco Bay. But what Bay Planning does is it opens us up to a broader presence, not only in the Bay, but also nationally in Washington and in Sacramento.
As Bay Planning Coalition looks to the future, it will continue to be the go-to and how-to organization by providing creative solutions and collaboration to face new challenges.
And recently, Bay Planning has worked with the local air district and the other public ports in the Bay Area to begin work on a Bay Area maritime emissions inventory. And so when we start bringing projects online, like the Port of San Francisco Shoreside Power Project here at Pier 27, which will provide shoreside power for cruise ships, we'll be able to document the reductions in air emissions and be able to really quantify the improvements we've made to the environment.
You know, on one hand we could say, you know, air quality issues are very similar to what happened with the dredging issues. You know, it could literally shut down the economy of the Bay if we're not careful. And we got to find a balance between those things, and I think that's where organizations like Bay Planning will help us move forward to a spot to get everybody to appreciate how we need to live together and make it work together.
In the growing California economy and with the growing population of California, the issues here in the Bay Area that ports face are going to become more complex. We're going to need groups like the Bay Planning Coalition to work with us.
Thanks to the dedication and hard work of its members, Bay Planning Coalition has been and will continue to be the champions of yes.
The maritime industry is the emblem of vitality and prosperity for the Bay. And it's been here forever. Can we make it work? Can we make it work keep the bay preserved as a beautiful natural resource, and can we work with government to serve the public interest? Yes, Bay Planning Coalition has found a better way.